Stranger danger is back, bruv.
I am the danger.
Previously, Demoji and the Mandem pulled up and kidnapped all 12 kids before Harry Potter met Voldemort face to face and awakened his magical powers. Wait, pause. What is up with this dude? Every other Demogorgon in the series is built like Yzma, but then you have flipping Henry Cavill over here for literally no reason. Will and Mike combine their collective 5 IQ points and realize that Vecna has taken the kids.
Derek, Mary, Glenn.
Ah yes, the fan favorite characters Mary and Glenn. Thanks for taking the time to let us know that Vecna took those 2 characters specifically. Absolute donut, brev. Hey Will, sort your man out, bro.
No, not just them.
Anyway, this Vecna dude took 12 kids, strapped them to stinky flesh things, pumped them full of extra hot peri peri Nando's sauce, and imprisoned their minds together in a fantasy land where he is a savior to be worshipped. Bruv, he even dresses like a nonce. So yeah, forget Diddy, bruv. Bro is moving like prime Epstein these days, bruv.
It's mad.
Henry Epstein takes all the kids into his mansion, apologizes for the whole kidnapping thing, and proceeds to brainwash them into believing he will save them all from the evil spreading over Hawkins. Yo, Henry, just a thought, bro, but maybe you should, like, give a name to this evil threat.
Like the black thing.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just gonna stick with V Diddy, bro. Bruv then starts chatting to these kids about other dimensions. Bruv, they're not even old enough to spell dimension, and they have the attention span of a frankfurter, bruv. They ain't got a clue what you're chatting about, bro. Meanwhile, Dr. K pulls up with their gang and busts down the door leading to number 8, aka Carly. Carly is still asleep, and the room is otherwise empty, so the soldiers start to leave. Say what you want about Carly, man, but that power is broken. Honestly, it's just unlucky that Dr. K is built like Itachi for real.
Genjutsu of that level doesn't work on me.
We then change POV to the main gang finding Lucas injured in the tunnel, where Will explains that he doesn't actually have powers of his own. He only gets them when he's tapped into the Vepstein hive mind. I also really like this moment between Joyce and Will where she finally learns to empower her son. Good for you, Joyce. It's just a shame we haven't been getting any moments like this with Jonathan. I low-key forget that guy's even related to them these days. Anyway, back in the upside, Diddy 11 roast Hopper for secretly wanting to blow himself up or something like that. They realize they reached the spot where Dustin and gang were meant to be because Steve's terrible parking skills are a dead giveaway, but there's no one home since Dustin ignored Hopper and headed to the lab. Speaking of Dustin, he's busy using Star Wars as a way to explain his theory, which is probably the only reason why both Steve and myself were able to comprehend it. Basically, he thinks the wall is a force field, and at the center of Hawkins there is a force field generator, which needs to be destroyed so they can blow up the Death Star, kill the Emperor, and get Holly back. Now I'm just gonna say it how it is, bruv. These dudes dumb as fuck. What you gonna do when the force field goes down and V Diddy is ready to greet you on the other side? You guys have a mixtape, hair, Eddie's wig from season 4, and 6 collarbones shared between all of you. What the f are you lot gonna do, huh? Negative IQ donuts, bruv. Meanwhile, in Vepstein's mansion, well, actually everything's pretty dope here, I can't lie. Derek literally knows that Henry is a child collecting monster and he's still just vibing, bruv. He's just grinning ear to ear eating his sweets, bruv. He's chill. Holly still ain't buying it though, so she sneaks out to meet Max in the woods. She tells Max that Henry is planning to draw another world to theirs and potentially destroy the whole thing, bruv, which I thought was a pretty good explanation of the situation. But apparently Max ain't really clocking it. Turns out Derek was eavesdropping and reveals himself as Holly's brother's new best friend, which to be honest doesn't really change much about their situation. Meanwhile, at the Squawk, Joyce is taking the gang through her plan, but she be taking the whole I need to believe in my son thing way too fucking far though, because what do you mean you want him to just jack back into the hive mind and one-shot Vecna? Joyce, bruv, you sound like one of those deluded power scalers who think their favorite character beats my favorite character, which is never happening by the way. Seriously though, even Murray thinks this plan sucks and he barely exists this season. Fortunately, the Sinclair siblings are present, which means there is still some brain cells left in the room. Erica has the very logical idea that Dustin's nerdy science teacher would be able to build a new telemetronomical tracker, whereas Lucas wants to shock a Demogorgon corpse back to life or something like that, so Will can use it as a proxy to jack back into the hive mind. What I don't understand is how he got this idea from watching popcorn in the microwave, but whatever. The gang get to work setting up the iconic Season 5 radio tower, which they're gonna use to shock Demoji back to reality, bruv. Low-key feels like overkill, but I like it, especially because this moment allowed Robin and Will to talk about their little secret a bit more. Now, back in the Upside Down, yeah, Jonathan just wants to talk about feelings, whereas Nancy wants to focus on preventing global destruction, which is low-key valid. To be honest though, I'm not entirely sure how Nancy is even here. Like, I, for some reason, have zero recollection of her being in that car with them last season, but whatever bruv, who even cares at this point? Meanwhile, Carly spends way too long telling Eleven how she got here. Long story short, the writers killed off her gang because nobody gave a fuck, and then Dr. K stole her blood to infusulate into purgent women in the hopes that they would create an army of mentally unstable superchildren. Meanwhile, Max and Holly are preparing to venture through the maze of memories and find their way out of Camazotz. Stupid fucking name, by the way. Max also conveniently forgets to mention she's deadass taking Holly through this place, knowing full well there is no Kate Bush to bail her out when they reach the other side. She went into this being fully prepared to abandon Holly in Vepstein's Man Palace thing if push really came to shove, which is a bit mad. Anyway, they open a magical door in the woods and... Nope, fuck no, I'm not going down there no matter what, hell no. Fortunately though, it's just a harmless memory of Vepstein doing his thing in the window all creepy like. Max channels her inner Matthew McConaughey and finds a way into the next memory, which is the very first time Vepstein approached Holly. Now, for future reference Holly, this is usually the part where you want to start screaming stranger danger. The real Vepstein clocked something was wrong though and took his anger out on dipshit Derek. Low-key deserved though, cause this dude done nothing useful since being here. Bruv, when Vecna threatened to murderize his family, I low-key thought Derek was just gonna laugh in his face. That's how much of a dipshit he is. Back in the night garden, Dustin and Steve spend the next 5 minutes or so trying to vocalize that they miss being friends while retaining their masculinity. Steve makes shit even worse by saying Eddie died for nothing, so Dustin starts just throwing hands and the pair of them seem to break up for good. Wow, I can't wait for the hard-earned payoff to all this fighting when one of them dies a heroic and completely necessary death while confessing their platonic love to the other. After parting ways, Dustin finds a journal that reveals the truth about the Upside Down and wait, is that fucking hex text? Oh, and I guess it's probably worth mentioning all the melty things that Jonathan and Nancy are walking past. Pretty dope, am I right? Back on Earth, the gang gets ready to cook up some grilled Gorgon Frankenstein style.
Smells Frankenstein!
No the fuck it isn't, bruv. Will sits down on the ground thinking he got mad aura. Bro thinks he's moving like Aang. And you know what? I'm not even gonna hate on it this time because the music kinda slaps and it's dope seeing someone actually humble Vecna for once. This whole thing looked awesome, bruv. Oh right, I think I forgot to mention that Vecna found Max and Holly and was actually moments away from murderizing them both. Sorry, it's kinda hard to keep up with all the bloody POV switches all the time, bruv. Yo, Will, now that you have superpowers though, can you open this jar of pickles for me? My guy. Joyce's whole Will's gonna one-shot Vecna plan goes to absolute shite real quick though, because Vepstein starts taking control back from Will in a scene where Jamie Campbell Bower proves once again why he is the GOAT of the whole damn thing, bruv. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Nancy find Dustin's shield generator, which obviously isn't actually a shield generator because this ain't fucking Star Wars, bruv. Dustin switched up real quick after reading that journal, because apparently if they destroy it, everyone will die. Unfortunately, Nancy is 110% American, so she blows the thing to Kingdom Come, everybody fucking dies, and the episode ends. Okay, fine, nobody died, but the big ball of energy made like a mad shockwave, bruv. Also, just saying, but seeing something this sci-fi in Stranger Things feels weird. It looks like what literally every Marvel character ever falls into to get superpowers. The entire sequence of events that follows is an absolute madness though. Nancy and Jonathan were knocked out cold from the blast, but lucky for them, the super dangerous sci-fi energy shizzle only does melty things to objects or something. So everything starts melting around them, including the floor. Dustin explains to the hair that, well, he don't really explain nothing helpful, to be honest. Bro just says if they destroy the energy thing, then the wall will collapse and that means death. He does know more than that, but he's chosen to explain it like this for dramatic effect because he's a dickhead, bruv. Little does Steve know his precious baby has just been sucked into the literal fucking void because a big hole in the wall got torn open right where Eleven, Hopper and Carly were waiting. And this is where things get real goofy, bruv. The hole upside down is actually a wormhole connecting the human ends to the Diddy ends, and outside that wall is a fat vacuum. I believe the scientific terminology for this is a Steins Gate rainbow bridge. The second this hole gets punched, bruv, all three of these bozos should have been sucked to death because, you know, physics and all that.
Physics, eh?
But nah, they Uno reverse that shit and straight up walk away from it. It's almost like they got to this point, realized season 5 was beyond saving and just decided to roll with it. The force was so strong it was snapping gravestones in half and tearing tiles off rooftops, but Hopper made it look less suctiony than Henry the fucking Hoover, bruv. But there is at least one peak scene of Eleven using the Force to clear a path through the rubble to a gate. Okay, peak is kinda generous. It was decent, which makes it look peak compared to the rest of this absolute dog shit. Back in reality, Erica recruits Mr. Clark, codenamed Snookums. Now, I've seen some people on the interwebs hating on this choice to finally bring Mr. Clark into the main group, to which I say, screw you bruv, Mr. Clark is the go, end of discussion. Max and Holly make it back to their no-no cave thanks to Will throwing Vepstein off his game. But Vepstein don't even care about all that, cause now he's just gonna target Max's real body, which he can find using Will's recaptured mind. Vecna crushes Will's spirit by dramatically revealing he used Will to build the tunnels in season 2. You know, the tunnels that ended up helping us more than they ever helped Vecna. Yeah, those tunnels. Absolute nothing burger reveal, bruv. But at least I can keep glazing Jamie Campbell Bower's incredible performance, man. What a goat. Robin then uses the power of crippling ADHD to explain that Max and Will are in comas because their minds are being held hostage, but if Max and Holly escape, they will return to their bodies. I'm not sure why either of them would actually want to return to their bodies though, because Max is a fucking vegetable and Holly is... well, I don't even think I can describe what Holly is without getting demonetized. After escaping the Upside Down, Eleven locks in to try and find Will, but with no luck. And then might get some screen time ad-libbing a dumb argument between Hopper and Carly.
I thought you said this fight was pointless.
Wait, you said this whole thing was pointless?
Lucas and Robin go to the hospital to make sure that Kate Bush is by Max's bedside 24/7, and no, that shit will literally never get old. Unfortunately though, Robin has to, you know, actually face the consequences of stealing the benzos from the hospital to drug and kidnap an innocent family. Honestly, man, they'd just be arresting people for anything back then, it's crazy. Back on Tatooine, Max and Holly speculate that Henry is scared of this cave because it's one of them traumatic memories, and that wandering off into the never-ending desert could lead to the way out. Holly eventually found the way to a new memory by lining up the shape on the telescope cap with the cliff face. And by found, I mean she nearly fell into it like an absolute plum, bruv. Never walk backwards when you're in a horror series. This is basic shit, bruv. The memory is hella freaky though. Boy Scout Henry stumbles across some important looking dude with a briefcase who just starts tweaking and then shoots Child Henry in the hand. Henry doesn't approve of guns though, so he bludgeons the dude to death with a rock United Kingdom style. Yeah, there were definitely signs that this kid was not okay, bro. But still, shooting and then losing a 1v1 to a defenseless 9-year-old Boy Scout is actually just generational aura loss, I'm not gonna lie. Meanwhile, in the Upside Down... yeah, I don't even need to make the joke, bruv. I know we're all thinking the same thing. Jonathan and Nancy find themselves in a small room that is quickly filling up with Diddy juice. This whole thing with them stuck in this room facing certain death is probably the best part of the entire volume. But it also sucks. But I love it, but it sucks. It's the only scene in the entire season with a hint of tension. Also, Natalia Dyer and Charlie Heaton really give plus ultra performances. It's incredible. But what was it exactly that made this scene so peak? Was it the lighting, the amazing music, the way they are sat on a table confessing their secrets and finally being honest with each other right before certain death? Sure, those things are all pretty dope, bruv. But notice how the most peak scene in the whole season so far happens when they actually let it play out for more than 2 minutes without switching fucking POV. What wasn't peak about this though was that when the scene ended, I had no idea what their relationship status was, bruv. I had to learn that they actually broke up through that demonic bird app, bruv. It was terrible.
Bloody Twitter! Our incompetence has made it worse.
Actually, I think it was pretty obvious.
Well, good for you, bruv. Dickhead. I mean, in the end, Steve and Dustin saved them both, so it didn't even matter anyway, but technically that actually happens next episode. Oh right, I guess I should also mention that before this scene, Dustin stopped Steve from climbing up a ladder of death and then crashed out because he doesn't want to lose Steve like he lost Eddie, and then apologized for being a prick. Yeah, alright, it was very nice and all, but there's no way you just put me through all that shit just for this to be the payoff, bruv. I don't even have a joke, I'm just upset at this point. Anyway, Elle goes for a swim in her Bacta tank and finds Will all strapped up in the Diddy cave.
I tried to stop him.
Alright, enough of all that, bro. Just tell her what you saw. Back at the hospital, Double D's conveniently attack the soldiers that arrested Robin while being respectful of Robin and Vicky's plot armor. Also, Double D is Demo Dog, by the way, not... whatever. They alert Lucas on the Speakertron device, so he takes Max and rendezvous with Robin and Vicky in the laundry room for no reason other than it being the perfect place to recreate the raptor scene from Jurassic Park. What definitely did not happen in Jurassic Park was Karen Wheeler putting combustible, flammable, explodable substances in a tumble dryer and turning all 3 demos into medium rare steaks. I don't even know how she managed to do that, bruv. But you know what? Fuck it. Stranger things have happened, am I right? The episode then concludes with Max and Holly finally making it to the exit, which is where Max decides to drop the bombshell that Holly ain't got no Kate Bush, so she might just be cooked. It looked like Max was deadass ready to leave her there. Absolute dickhead, bruv. I low-key respect it. Apparently, music isn't the only way to get out of here, which is very convenient and... well, to be honest, it's just shit writing, isn't it? Like, they both have a kind of speech type thing about some power of friendship bullshit. I can't lie, I don't even know what they was yapping about here, but eventually they shut the fuck up and tried to recreate the iconic escape scene from season 4. And it was at this point that I became convinced that they had clocked the whole season was chalked, bruv, and they were just hoping the power of nostalgia could save it. But even that failed, because this scene was just objectively worse than the original, bruv. Kate Bush is still peak though, right? No hate on Kate Bush. Apparently, escaping from Vecna's domain expansion cured Max's blindness, because she opened her eyes to see Lucas absolutely losing his shit with yet another 10 out of 10 performance by the GOAT, Caleb McLaughlin. Their chemistry on screen literally never misses, especially in these moments where shit gets like bare emotional. At least that is until Mike and Eleven arrive. Yep, one of their best friends has just woken up from a Vepstein-induced coma and the reaction is somehow drier than your nan's Christmas turkey, bruv. Unlike Max, Holly woke up in the new and improved Diddy Cave, which turns out to be a whole other planet or some kind of techie shit like that. She manages to break free from the thing by harnessing the magical power of, Under Armour? What the fuck? To be clear, this video is not sponsored by Under Armour, although I have a feeling the same can't be said for Stranger Things. Product placement or not though, you internet freaks get way too bent out of shape over incredibly minor and insignificant shit like this, I can't lie. It happens all the time in movies and TV shows. Lord of the Rings, literally a car in the background. Game of Thrones, John left his Starbucks on the table. Doctor Who, fat ass boom mic. Squid Game, an entire cameraman. As far as mistakes go, one frame of a logo is not a big deal, bruv. Anyway, Holly makes it outside, but I can't lie, the second she clocked this was another planet, she should have just turned around. Getting trapped in Vepstein's infinite Tsukuyomi Genjutsu is 1,000 times better than accidentally getting lost on an alien planet with no Leopold Fitz to save you. If you know, you know. Vepstein wakes up, but then conveniently forgets that he has telekinetic fucking powers, so he just lets Holly climb into a gate head first. Which was a terrible idea, by the way, because she ends up falling from the very top of the Upside Down all the way down to the center of Hawkins' lab. Vepstein casts Arresto Momentum and saves her from falling to her death, but then follows that shit up with an Accio Holly, which drags her all the way back up, but not before she manages to at least say hi to her sister. Back in the right side up, Mr. Clark does some bare smart shit with balloons and that to create a telemetronomical tracker, and, well, basically they find Dustin, innit? The hospital gang then reunite with the nerd squad at Hawkins' lab because that's where Dustin is in the Upside Down. Okay, Mike, it's very important yet. Remember, it took ages finding this signal, so just be very careful. Yeah, Mike, you're actually a dickhead, bruv. Did you know that? The entire new and improved nerd squad make their way to the nearby steel plate and enter the Upside Down, but not before Elle uses her telekineticizing powers to destroy the CCTV cam that is watching them. Right, firstly, how the fuck does destroying the cam make a single difference at this point? Secondly, I genuinely think an entire episode of Mr. Clark discovering all the Stranger Things secrets for the first time would be 10 times more entertaining than whatever this absolute mid is. In the end though, Dustin and his gang finally make it back to the other side. As expected, Will's reaction to Max being back was almost as dry as Eleven's, but at least they made up for it by giving us more Lucas and Max screen time. Dustin then rounds up the nerd squad and explains how this whole wormhole Epstein-Tozen bridge shit works. And we then cut away to see that Henry has successfully converted these brain-dead kids into a fully fledged cult.
It's not looking good, Bev.
Now, despite how creepy Vepstein looks, I'm low-key more scared of this absolute weirdo who is way too into this whole cult thing, bruv. You don't even know what taxes are yet, bro. You ain't saving the world from nothing. The second Holly opened her eyes, this Delulu girl already trying to brainwash her, but luckily Holly was done playing around. She headed straight for a cassette player that was chilling on her desk, which had my mind racing, cause going straight for Henry's weakness is hella smart, but at the same time, why would he just leave something so dangerous lying around? Turns out though, I was just bare overthinking the whole thing, bruv, because she had no intention of playing nothing, bro. No Beethoven, no Kendrick, no NF, nothing. She picked up the whole thing, bosh, over the head, bruv. Then just straight hands with all them, man. Holly Wheeler moving like Ip Man was definitely not on my Stranger Things bingo, but you know what? Respect, bruv. By the way, who the hell is this greasy NPC looking guy, bruv? Why he trying to move like an important character? Furthermore, no one in the history of ever has unironically said lock and load.
Rally the rest of the team, tell them to lock and load.
Absolute droid, bruv. After spitballing some god-awful plans and joking around about Steve's impressive member, Steve himself actually drops a banger plan. He wants to use the iconic Season 5 radio tower as a ladder. They just gotta climb it and wait for the Diddy dimension to come to them. Meanwhile, he wants Elle to do her cerebro shit to find Vepstein. The problem is, Eleven's mind can't reach Vepstein's mind from this far away, but never fear, because Steve offers a genius solution.
Can't you just try?
Ah yes, the just try fucking harder technique that pretty much every ADHD kid ever is all too familiar with. Fortunately, Nancy offers a better solution where Eleven uses the bath in the upside down lab. Dustin finalizes the plan by suggesting they blow the big ball of sci-fi shit to Kingdom Come and destroy the entire wormhole thing on their way out, which I'm like totally sure will not result in Hopper staying behind to do it himself with his special boom boom vest. In the meantime, Mike builds a weird record player bomb timer thing or something like that, bruv, and the rest of the gang suit up. Jonathan gets his flamethrower, Nancy grabs a normal gun, because for some reason normal guns only work in this show when Nancy's the one using them, and then Dustin grabs him and Steve a spear each. They actually end up having a nice little heart-to-heart, which sucks because I had just started believing they would both live out the rest of the series, but never mind, I guess. Meanwhile, Hopper tells Joyce he will straight up murderize Carly if she puts Eleven in danger, which I thought was a bit harsh, until we cut to a private conversation where Carly literally convinces Elle to sacrifice herself. She's on some dumb anime history will repeat itself if we live type shit, but the logic definitely ain't logicking with this dead plan, bruv, because they already have buckets of Carly's blood being pumped into Pregananant women at this very moment, bruv. You know what, Hopper, you're so right, bro, just shoot her at this point. Anyway, it's finally time to talk about the scene that you've probably all been waiting for. Everybody comes and sits around Will like he just summoned the fucking Avengers or something, so that he can make an extra special announcement. After our painfully long build-up, we finally get to the point. Will likes Willie. Wow. Raise your hand if you're surprised. Yep, no one saw that coming. Oh, and I guess it's important to mention Will has come to terms with the fact that Mike is never letting him smash. Good for him, I guess. Now, to be honest, most people's ability to understand scenes like this are determined by one simple thing, which is whether or not they have Twitter installed on their mobile device. If you base your opinions off what Twitter tells you, then you're cooked, bruv. I'm sorry, there's just no saving you. But if you actually have a modicum of free will, then you may still dislike this moment, which is totally valid because, to be fair, the execution was horrific, but you should hopefully understand why he's doing it. The whole point is about overcoming the weakness that made him an easy target in the first place. Will literally needs to confront this fear before facing Vecna. It's as simple as that. Why are we acting like gay people didn't fucking exist back then, bruv? Why are we acting like Netflix invented gay people? And furthermore, why are we acting like this wasn't always gonna be a thing in this series, bruv?
It's not my fault you don't like girls.
Unlike almost everything else in this mid-season, there is actually a lot of build-up for this, and I did not hate it. In fact, I would say it's the best part of the episode. But that doesn't mean it was good, just that the rest of the episode was a steaming pile of shit. Anyway, Volume 2 ends with Vepstein's newfound cult sitting around a dining room table, kinda looking like they're all about to drink Kool-Aid and die. For the 12 people who still care, the finale will be released on New Year's, and yes, I will make a video for it, because I love Stranger Things and I don't think that's ever gonna change. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace.